This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Paper because you've seen it already, so you know what's happening. And it's good to see you. We can say Happy New Year, can't we?
Yeah, I saw somebody arguing about how long this salutation should go.
15th, today is the deadline.
Somebody says, one of the people said up to first, another group said up to the 5th, another one said up to 15th, yet another group said up to 31st, so that thereafter, because you start preparing for the Valentine's.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we are still on Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you.
It's good to see you. And thank you for being here, because we're going to talk about a number of things today. And, you know, oftentimes when we sit and have these conversations and we hear people saying, why are you even bothering to talk about it? Do something about it. Well, you need to talk about it so we can unfurl or open up some of these things. And we find that some of the greatest outcomes happen as a result of conversation that was had. So thank you for coming this morning. Dennis has taken us to Algeria this week. Yes, has taken us to Algeria this week. And our proverb, you know, you're a lawyer, so you know how to interpret things.
Yes. So let's go to Algeria, a country whose economy is being pushed by fuel. It's cheaper than water in the country because 90% of Algeria is Sahara Desert. You know, and you just think of it and what they're doing with solving their problem, especially the water issue. They're using their resources to solve their problem. But this is the proverb that the Babas are equally telling us. The only thing left in the valley are its stones. The only thing left in the valley are its stones. What do you think Algerians are telling us this morning?
The only thing left in the valley
are its stones.
Are the stones. Interesting. I haven't interacted with the Babas much, but I suppose it is a challenge to mankind to go the extra mile, so that even if the only thing left in the valley are the stones, you try and see whether you can eke out water or living out of the stones.
Yeah.
They say normally you cannot extract water from a stone.
Normally.
But you can dig out the stones and get water.
Dig out the stones and get out the water.
Well said.
Very well. That's great. You know, we had a conversation in the past hour, JB, and a lot of Kenyans are not okay about a lot of things. So as we start this conversation and get targeted and focused in a particular area, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about some things. And the last time we saw you was during the by-election in Beira North, and you were quite upset, JB. You have an opportunity to tell us what upset you so much, and to the point where people said, you know what, even JB should be called out for what he did and how he behaved during that by-election and why you were there in the first place. Sort all of that out for us.
Thank you very much, and I must thank you for bringing out that issue, because I haven't had an occasion to discuss it publicly. You know, on polling day, nobody is supposed to be in any party colors.
Yeah.
That everybody is required to display neutrality, and unfortunately, it looks like our election management people are not quite clear or don't seem to understand that once an area has been declared a polling station, whoever is in charge, the presiding officer and their deputies and the others, they actually are supposed to be in charge fully, including controlling security people, giving instructions to the police. The policemen in that place at that time are under the control and command and direction of the IABC officials. But that's not to say that people who are accredited, either as observers or agents or party officials, if they have the accreditation, cannot go there just to see what is happening. So it happened that that day I was at Chicago and voted much earlier, and I go to this place and I find somebody donning UDA colors, and strategically stationed where people were beginning to queue. And many of our agents told me, that guy, we have tried to complain to the presiding officer, he has ignored us. But that fellow is talking to people even as they come in. He's clearly showing that we are doing UDA. And of course, we also are aware that UDA and planned some clandestine things very early in the morning, so that that early morning voting was quite suspect. So for that reason, I spoke to the presiding officer, asked him, why are you allowing this to happen? And that, while there, then I was told this lady here, another lady, has been bringing everybody. She's the one who is assisting all the voters that are coming in, and all of them are voting for UDA. I say, but why is the presiding officer doing this? The presiding officer looks at me, stood there, just like a zombie. I told him, you are completely, you are abandoning your responsibility.
Okay. So you were upset?
So I was upset, so I decided, no, we must eject this fellow, because there's nobody else. So we went and spoke to him. It's somebody I know anyway. The fellow is from Nyeri. It's not even from that place. It's from Mudai, actually. An MCA. Just this last Sunday, they were together with the president. So I went and told him, you must get out of this place. You can see even me. Notwithstanding that I'm the leader of the Democratic Party, I am not doing anything that can show I belong to that party. Reason being, campaigns are over. So, of course, the UDA supporters who are there, who had been mobilized, began making noise. But I insisted, I stood my ground, and the guy agreed. So we just escorted him out. He was not even roughed, actually, because he even went and got into his car. But as he was getting into his car, some of them were beginning to shout, and because the person who was giving them the cover, the protection, has been edged out. He's been forced out of the station. And so that's why the young men they began making noise, and I told them, no, you will not do it. And I insisted that if you do so, we will also deal with you. Of course, some of them began throwing some queer epithets about me, and naturally I got cross, and I decided that I must throw one of them away.
Okay.
It never quite...
Do you think it would have happened if you were not there, JB? Because what happened as a result of your presence there was that it got ugly. I mean, by your own admission, of course.
Yes.
Did your presence there move anything in the right direction?
Yes. Actually, even the commissioner, Professor Dual, who came soon thereafter, and we reported the matter to him, and we told him, please talk to your presiding officer and others that they have to exercise, the mandate of their office. And things moved from that time on.
Okay.
Began moving smoothly. Until much later in the evening, of course, I was away checking what was happening in other places. But from the time that I stepped in there and we ejected these fellows out, things started moving smoothly. There were no complaints.
JB,
so I believe, it's one thing, one can say, oh, you shouldn't have done that. But yes, there's some lyric by somebody called Julian that says, "Sitosimama maofu yakitendeka akitawala."
But JB, that speaks a lot of an institution that is in charge of presiding over an election, and with whom powers have been donated to them to ensure that election process goes as expected as per the law. But you're saying individuals were reported, but nothing happened. What does that say about the commission?
It shows a commission that is terribly captured. And but we will be addressing some of these issues because, well, even though they are new in office as commissioners, some of them are people who have a lot of experience, and they are people we have tremendous respect for. So we think that we should be able to talk to them because they can improve. There's room for improvement, but they must also admit. And I must say this: I have had occasion to interact with a number of election management bodies on this continent, including South Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, and other countries, as well as countries outside of the continent. And I have advised the IEBC, because they are new, if they want to build confidence, particularly among the electorate, they must deliberately go out and robustly make public whatever it is that they are doing. It is their responsibility under Article 88 of the Constitution to do continuous voter education, telling the voter that these are your rights. But even as they tell the voter about their rights, they must know that Kenyans are quite enlightened. So if they see them bending the rules to favor others, Kenyans are going to point out. And I think I would want to advise the IEBC to take advantage of the provisions in the Political Parties Act that create the provision. Fortunately, I was almost the originator of this provision. We created a body, an organ called the Political Parties Liaison Committee, the PPLC. In fact, in South Africa, the electoral management body, the IEC, even when they are employing presiding officers, they advertise and they invite all political players to attend and tell them, these are the people who have applied, these are the people we have shortlisted. Please, as the players, as the people who are going to be involved in this game, do you suspect any of them?
Okay. So
to be a person of suspicious character.
So what you seem to be trying to say is that because these things seem to be covered up, and you've talked about the possible capture already of the IEBC, that they don't want to have these conversations because somebody is controlling how they operate?
Yeah, I think, of course, given the way they came into office, of course, there had been the arrangements. Parliament had already passed the amendment to begin the process. Of course, there was a noise that came from one side, the Azimio coalition side, which ended up with the NADCO negotiations. And those negotiations agreed that, yes, there is need to borrow some of our Kenyan experience, one of which was the 1997 experience, at which the opposition was allowed to have a say in the selection of the commissioners. And that was, it was meant to give confidence. It's a way of confidence building.
Yes.
An election management body, being some form of a referee of sort, should be one that enjoys a cross-board trust and confidence, then of course of the larger society, but more particularly of the political players, mainly being the political parties. So the way they came in, they appear to have been, since the formation of the coming into force of this thing, this mongrel called the broad-based government, and I call it deliberately so because one William Kipchirchir Arap Ruto, he referred to the handshake, if you remember when he was deputy president, he referred to the handshake as a mongrel. And today he is in a similar thing, but he sees nothing wrong about it. So I want to say, since the advent of this mongrel, that's how the IBC commission was picked. So those who are not in the mongrel arrangement have no say in the appointment of these commissioners. But that notwithstanding, we would still want to give them the benefit of doubt. Please, just understand your mandate and implement it as per the law. Please do not show favoritism, as happened in the recent by-elections. And of course, I don't want to speak about it because today is a pre-trial conference in Embu at the High Court of the petition that our people, my people, my party, through this candidate has filed. So I may not be at liberty to discuss that. But suffice to say, we will be demonstrating why we think that the IBC still has room to improve. And I call upon the IBC to listen to what everybody is saying in the country. It cannot be that, it cannot be that everybody else is wrong and they are right. When you tell them, please, for instance, I spoke to Commissioner Professor Adur on that day. I told him, please, go and tell your presiding officer that he shouldn't do this and this and this. Are you going to do it? He said, no, those are internal matters. What do you mean internal matters? I said, Professor, this is a man I know, and I know he's a man of great integrity. But I could see he seemed to have been under some spell of sorts. They are too scared of William Ruto, the appointing person. So I want to tell them, I want to appeal to these commissioners and the staff, particularly the staff, because they must know that at an appropriate time, we as Kenyans are at liberty to even file private prosecutions against individual commissioners and officers for violations, various transgressions of both the Constitution and the law. Yeah. So please, before we get to that, why not just do the right thing?
Yeah.
That's what I've been saying. We don't have to do every time, just the fear of sanctions. Please, just do the right thing, and we'll be okay.
And you see, JB, as you talk about the right thing, one would say that in the country Kenya, the law appears to be a suggestion for many, especially those in the political class. Why do I say that? You look at today, let's talk about education inequality in the country. And there's a conversation that is ongoing right now. And here we have DCP party leader, Rigathi Gachagua, says, Kila mtu asome kwao. And many have captured that and say, yes, each and every single part of the country deserves to have the great schools in their regions that will make it easy and affordable for parents, for their students to access education. And one asks the question today, when you talk about education as a right enshrined in the Constitution and policies that have been put in place to help implement that, what are we doing in ensuring that education gets to the remotest part in the country so that everyone is equal? Are we just giving education for the sake of it? Is it bora elimu amani elimu bora? Why are we playing with that?
Thank you, Dennis, for that question, because education has always been very, very, very close to my heart. And when I look at the Constitution, for instance, apart from the economic and social rights and Article 43, you go closely, look at Article 53, Clause 1, Paragraph B, with regard to the right of the child. A child shall be entitled to one of the rights, free and compulsory basic education. So any planning about education must begin from that point. Free and compulsory basic education. And you go to
It's the law, yeah.
It is a
It's
constitution.
the law, right.
In fact, the supreme law of the land, Article 53, 1B. Now you go to the interpretations, Article 260, basic education is defined as education from primary through to secondary. It doesn't matter whether we call it junior or senior, whatever baptismal names, but that is basic education. So it is this education which is supposed under the Constitution to be free and compulsory. One, so I've always asked myself, if it is compulsory, it means the parent has no option. The child must be in school. If not, you, the parent, should actually be punished.
Yeah, because it's an obligation.
Because, again, it is supposed to be free.
But sorry, are you supposed to send your child to school if you don't have the wherewithal? I asked this question, and I'm sorry to interject. But look at one of our dailies today. The headline is glaring. 800,000, not 800, not 8,000, not 80,000. 800,000 are still at home. And what are the reasons that are being given for this? Schools demanding payment of fees in full. The slots in terms of transfers where students don't report. Learners traveling to far-flung areas still making the arrangements. Needy students are waiting for bursaries. In this case, do we blame the parents for keeping the children at home?
Look, I really appreciate your intervention. If we were practicing a responsible democracy, this should have been the kind of headline that would have seen President William Ruto tender his resignation as a president. One, on the 13th of September 2022, at Kasarani in broad daylight, he sought to defend, uphold, protect, and preserve the Constitution. Yeah? This Constitution is the same one. That Article 53 is in the Bill of Rights, Chapter 4. So it's not a suggestion. It is couched in mandatory terms. Basic education is free and compulsory. Yeah? We have not even been told that anybody has been sanctioned, but who is going to sanction? The person who bears the greatest responsibility in the protection, upholding, preservation, and protection of the Constitution, who saw by the Bible, is a president. If he does not see anything wrong with this, it means that his government is asleep. But no, the guy is so busy, PR stunts all over. Nyota, I don't know what. We are not opposed to even that program. But that is not his work. You can leave that one to MCAs or to chiefs, local chiefs. The president has better things to do than spending days on end dancing. It is giving Nyota, I don't know, checks. And I've seen some kids saying that they have not even received the money since he visited their places. Some of them were in Eldoret. But look, your intervention is so timely. Shouldn't it prick the conscience of the entire nation that out of the 1.1 million students who are supposed to be in school, which is that compulsory and free, are still at home because of not able to, if you have been told that it's because of lack of transport, it's a different thing.
Fees that.
But you don't have school fees.
That the Constitution says shouldn't even be there.
I mean, the Constitution says it's free. So government ought to have budgeted for it, free. But what did we get? Government even reduced the competition. And you still hear people talk about Duko. You still hear people talking about bursary. My personal position, which is the position of my party, the DP, is that bursary should be abolished.
Completely.
We should never have this thing called bursary because it's an embarrassment. And I've explained in the political meetings, but let me explain it here.
Okay.
It's an embarrassment and it's a way of reducing both the parent and the child's dignity. When you have to wait, a parent with their child, they are waiting for a member of parliament to come and receive a check, a bursary check. They sit there, they start singing. This child knows that his or her other classmates are in class, but then they have to come and wait for the mheshimiwa, sing and clap, say some poems. One, what you create in this child is that the parent or parents of this child are incapable.
Where does
That thing can linger
in their minds for
in
years?
their minds forever, and it has the effect of actually, it can affect this child's growth and education.
Yeah.
In a very big way, negatively,
So-
about the parent.
Yeah.
But even to the parent, it's a shame.
Of course, it is. And the
Because
truth of the
that parent
matter,
who is there, it just feels okay. I have to be here, dance and sing for the mheshimiwa, because I don't.
2,000 shillings.
So this is why I say no. Why are you having bursary?
but can I
Yet
ask
the
you?
constitution says it is free.
It is free. But allow me to ask, because then maybe we can get an understanding. You were the third highest in command in the country as the Speaker of the National Assembly. Many a time, members of parliament would not be in the House because they were off giving bursary checks. So here we are. Member of parliament gives out bursary. County government gives out bursary. There's a president's fund for bursary. There's NGCDF with members of parliament who will still go and promise and say, we're going to give out bursary. So all of these different people are giving out money towards bursary. Where does this money come from? This money that they're handing out, where does it come from?
You see, all this is taxpayers' money.
Okay.
What is the method of identifying the beneficiaries when you spread it like that? In fact, even women representatives,
They give out, exactly, they give out
DAF.
checks. Yes.
even
Through DAF.
MCAs, they also purport to give bursaries. But you see, because there's going to be some criteria which will involve some forms of favoritism, why do we need to continue with bursaries?
Why can't all this money be taken and put in one fund?
Exactly.
And then it be put towards education to ensure that these 800,000 people children that we are seeing that are out of school will be in school without a problem? Why can that not be done? So that we can actually do at that level what one constituency, maybe two, are doing in the country today, whereby then a nominal fee, and it's just maybe to cover expenses here or there, it's not the core of what you need to do at school, is then covered by whatever, the member of parliament, NDCDF, the county. What precludes that from being done? Or is it a tool that members of parliament, that governors, that MCAs, that the president uses politically to have some kind of influence over the people who receive? And mind you, JB, this money that we're receiving in bursaries, it is nothing. It's 1,000 shillings. It's 3,000 shillings against 45,000 shillings that the school is asking you to bring.
This is just a continuation of patronage politics. So that, every politician will say, I'm the one who gave you bursary. And I've said, first of all, what is the role of a member of parliament? Generally, as understood, is to represent, to oversight, and to legislate. So it's not the role of members of parliament to implement any government program. Free basic education is a function, is to be implemented by government, the executive. The Supreme Court decision I believe on 8th of August 2022, was very clear about the NGCDF. Whether you baptize it, when it was baptized, I was speaker, and I kept telling members, you know what? From the day we adopted the current constitution, 2010, and I remember beginning to argue that when we were still in a version, I was discussing this document. I said, with this, CDF must go, it must give way. Because devolution is only 2 levels, national, county. You cannot have members of parliament. And in fact, in that Supreme Court decision, the judges very, very well eloquently argued that the problem is there's, in the Constitution we have, a clear separation of powers. Implementation of government programs is a function of the national executive or the executive structures in the counties. It is never the function of any form of legislature. So the fact that CDF may have done things, and indeed we know it has done wonders in some places. But nevertheless, if we are going to really restore and be people faithful to constitutionalism, we must, CDF or NGCDF must give way to proper devolution. Then strengthen oversight. So that you members of parliament or members of the county assemblies, you become sharper in ensuring that what government is supposed to do is done. And when governments don't function, you throw them out. The Constitution has given the mechanism. So members of parliament cannot argue. And it doesn't matter whether you belong to the party of the government. Because if government is not delivering, if you belong to that party, remember, the electorate will also send you home because where were you? So this is taxpayers' money. We don't want to hear about NCDF. In fact, before the late former Prime Minister even joined the fray, I am one of the first people to say, and I've always said it, NGCDF does not sit constitutionally well, and it is actually futile for members of parliament through William Ruto. Because I remember I was AG when he was writing that letter to Parliament and of course giving some juice to Senate, giving them Senate Oversight Fund so that they can amend the Constitution. But what is this Senate Oversight Fund? If Senate is part of the Parliament, all parliaments perform oversight. So what is this extra fund? They are paying salaries to do that oversight. So I have always argued NGCDF should go. This money, and last night watching one of the television stations, I think Honorable Dede General said in the current financial year is 58 billion shillings. Surely, if we under this 58 billion shillings, I will not, it's the Minister of Education, these 800,000 plus children who are still at home will be in school, learning with all facilities, laboratories and libraries, well equipped. And you can imagine if there's just 58 billion, just one financial year. Can you imagine in 2 financial years? It's just impossible. So it's just a matter of planning. It's national government leadership, which is lacking. I remember on these shows, I've always said, actually, the problem is that fish rot
from the top.
From the top. So, this blame should squarely be placed on the foot of one William Kipchirchir Ruto.
JB, you are the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, and you state that you have always had your position on NGCDF, that it shouldn't be there, does not sit well with the Constitution. You are the principal advisor to government. President William Ruto received advice from you, and one would ask, if this is the position, this is what the Constitution says, policies that are in place, does the president listen to advice? Does he pick the advice, or is it his way or the highway? Because one would assume that with your position and understanding the law and being the principal advisor, these are things you presented to him, even at the time when he was writing that letter to senators and giving all those funds. You are the principal advisor. Does he listen to advice? And if that is the case, if he does not listen to advice, is there any hope that the law will finally be followed?
Well, fortunately, because William Ruto at that time, he was very keen to secure the numbers in the House. And it's something we had discussed even much earlier. And I kept saying that, remember, I'd been the speaker. So I'd always been very, very forthright about that, even with the former president, that this thing does not sit well. It is good, and the courts have already said it. Why don't we just bite the bullet, scrub it? Oh no, we need support of members of parliament, whatever it is that we are doing. So William Ruto knew very well, if he let me be the one to deal with the issue of advising on NGCDF, and already said even to try and give Senate this so-called oversight fund is still irregular. But because, William Ruto is a populist and he likes the drama, he's a guy of theater. He will want something that is good to, he likes applause as opposed to performance. And you need to deliver to the people. William Ruto knew that the way to make it juicy is entrench NGCDF in the Constitution, create Senate oversight so that Senate does not oppose. I hope Senate does, but I've had some of them saying we could see this, we saw this trick, Kitambo. Then say that there's even going to be a want development fund so that when the document, the Constitutional Amendment Bill goes to the wants, they also don't oppose it. Surely, we do not fix administrative problems by amending the Constitution. Just go to what the Constitution is saying. And the Supreme Court has already declared this thing cannot sit well. So even if actually this amendment were to go through, which I believe will not go through, it still would be amenable to challenge, legal challenge in the courts on the basis of violating the principle of separation of powers. Because you are still putting legislators, because even those ones in the county assembly, they perform legislative work. So are the National Assembly members and those in the Senate. Why are you giving them executive functions of implementing projects, building schools, building offices for the administrators, chiefs, and others, building police stations? Surely, is that the work of a member of parliament? A member of parliament should be in the House all the time, representing their people, saying, in this place, we need a police station. And be there to ensure that when budgets are being read, there is money to do those things. So, and when they are not being done, be there to question. But instead, what we are seeing is we have compromised members by giving them the role to go and you have had the president say, but you people are the ones who pass the budget. Put money, go and do the police station. I mean, surely, what kind of governance structure is this that we are trying to create for ourselves?
The argument is being put forth that if some of the unfurling of the kind of confusion that is happening at the moment would be done, then half of the country's problems would be solved. That if you actually say, follow the law, do what the law says, fill your specific role, do what you're supposed to do. Just the example that you've given now about members of parliament. If the executive did what it was supposed to do, if the legislature did what it was supposed to do, if the judiciary does what it's supposed to do, half of the problems that we see today would, if the rule of law was followed, that half of the problems would be sorted out today. This education thing would not be a sore thumb matter. Do you subscribe to that notion?
Yes, it did. Indeed, largely. Because it's just a matter of planning. Because you'll know that you have so many kids in all levels of basic education. Yeah? Just come at budget. Please, of course, avoid the issue of ghosts. William Ruto is also now. Now we have ghost students, ghost schools, ghost hospitals now. or medical or healthcare facilities.
Even now we have ghost MCAs.
Ghost MCAs.
I thought I'd throw that into the ring.
Now, you see, this is the problem. And, Dennis, the question you're asking about advice, you can only do that so much. Eh? William Ruto would want to advise you on how to advise him. Yeah. When he realized that I could not do that, I would not write that thing because it was unconstitutional. And that's my firm belief. Because if the Supreme Court has ruled and decreed that this thing is unconstitutional, and as long as your intention is to put it at the operation of members of parliament, you're still going to be in breach of that court interpretation. So why would you want to get engaged in this? And when you advise somebody, say, no, this is wrong. Then they don't listen. The problems we have in this country is not lack of programs and things like those or ideas. If we just, what is required is actually a reset, a governance reset, where everybody is bound by the national values which are there in Article 10.
And now they're not?
They're there.
But I'm saying nobody's bound by them right now. Nobody's bound. The people who are in positions whereby this influence can be seen and or practiced, we're essentially saying that they're not bound by these national values. They all hold up the Constitution.
Respect for human rights.
What do people hold up when they come in as members of parliament?
The same Constitution.
Is it not the Constitution?
The same Constitution.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering what book that is.
Respect for human rights.
Right.
Yeah. Rule of law. The courts have said, please put on hold these things you're talking about. I don't know, some grandiose thing, because we just look for ways of areas of looting. Now we are talking about the national infrastructure fund, just a better way. And remember, just recently, maybe you people in the media have not noticed this. Remember, in November, Parliament passed a very draconian law called the GOE,
yes,
Government-Owned Enterprises Act, which the CS National Treasury gazetted for execution, date of implementation from the 5th of December. Under that act, many of the targeted parastatals, they are laws, they're establishing laws. KPA Act, Kenya Railways Act, Kenya Airports Authority Act, they have all been repealed. And those bodies are being told now to form themselves into limited liability companies with a maximum of 9 directors each, whose directors are appointed, many of them, I think about 8 of them, by the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury. There, of course, read William Ruto, and the CS of relevant ministries. Now, those companies own so much property that belongs to the people of Kenya. Now, you are removing it from parliamentary oversight. You are removing it from parliamentary oversight, from oversight by the Auditor General. So that anything they do will be the decision of the Board of Directors. Surely, Kenya Railways, Kenya Airports Authority, Kenya Ports Authority, Agricultural Development Corporation, which owns tracts and tracts of land, whose value, at some point, I think in 2024, was in excess of 217 billion, is being put up at a valuation of 500 million, 300 million to 500 million.
And this is the problem.
You look at what were members of parliament doing? Was there under some anesthesia of sorts?
Yes, and this is my question. Yes. Because there's 290 of them, isn't it?
349.
But then now we add the women reps. and woman reps and all of these, and then it comes to nominated. There's some 12 more,
349,
and then we come to 349 people. 349 people. Have they been drugged? What they have is that they have donated power from people to go and ensure that the best interests of people, communities, are then being followed through. You can't tell me that the sale or forfeiture of huge tracts of land or the ensuring of money that doesn't go towards development is passed every time in Parliament, and you then think that Kenyans think these people are normal. It's not normal, JB, it's abnormal. And so the question that people are asking today, whether you're here sitting talking about education, and we hope that as we go into the next hour, you'll stay on for us to talk about some more things, going into the politics of it now. And we're saying that people talked to us between 7 and 8. People are not okay. And that's the nitty-gritty of it. We can talk about the large industrial parks. We can talk about the large tracts of land. We can talk about the hundreds of billions of shillings that are being spent on projects that Kenyans never actually see. There are pictures that have come in on the papers from last week of dead animals strewn in land. And that's people's livestock. And we have a disaster management authority who has not been given the keys to activate so that these people's livelihoods can be secured. But there's money for other things. It's a shame that you see the headlines of 800,000 children at home. It is actually a shame. It is not chagrin. It is not alarm. It is shame, because that's the picture. We always say that the true picture of a country is what its most vulnerable look like. That's the picture. It's not bridges and roads and concrete. That's the picture. And so the hope that Kenyans are putting in people today is to say, please, don't promise us anymore. Just implement.
Absolutely. That is my point. We cannot, every now and then, all we want is applause. We say this, we come to talk about this, Singapore, Makofi. In fact, I heard something very, very reckless by some member of parliament who told William Muto, actually go and sell everything and build as a road. I said, what? We are talking about borrowing money to do, I don't know, convention center in Bomas, do Atalanta Stadium. But what is the reality of what we are getting now? 800,000 plus students
at home
who are supposed to be enjoying free and compulsory basic education at home because they can't afford to go to school. Or their parents can't afford to.
We're going round to 9 o'clock. I'd like us
of course, we want to talk about building a stadium, and we want people applauding us. We are going to do another one. I don't know. Go to Thika, Makofi, Wapi. Surely, as you rightly said, 800,000 children, the future of this country. We are willing to let that be business as usual, but we want to be applauded that we are giving out there Nyota, I don't know, we are building this stadium, we are building this conference center, we are doing this road. Surely, who is going to play in those stadiums when 800,000 kids are not able to go to school?
Okay.
What are we talking about?
Let's look for solutions, JB. We'll come into the next hour. We'll also be joined by Dr. Harun Isaac Hassan. He'll join us because we can have this, but we must also look then towards what are the solutions. Is it just in leadership or is it across board? It's 9:01. Justin Bidan Muturi is here with us, and we'll be joined by governance expert. We'll be talking about power, the politics, and also move into the region just a little bit as well. As Uganda goes to the polls, we'll be back with this conversation on the Situation Room in a bit. Don't go away.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.